Serious.
Me? Are we going? Is it time? Should I wake up? Good afternoon, evening. Today is Monday, August 1st. It is 5:30, and I call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission. The first thing we need to do is welcome our new member, who is Patty Empins. She is from Ward 1, and we welcome you aboard and glad you're here. Okay. Next on the agenda is to deliberate and act on a request for a conditional use permit to allow for a quilt shop located at 2922 FM 1781, also known as Spanish Woods Estates, number 5, Lot 3B, being 1.148 acres, City of Rockport, Aransas County, Texas. Currently zoned R1, first single-family dwelling district. And Carrie, did you want to?
Yes, this is property out there on 781 where there was a church, and Miss Lanier purchased the property with the intent of putting in her quilting shop, but they were not aware that it was not zoned for commercial. As soon as Miss Lanier was informed that she needed a rezone or a cut, she immediately came in and started her. She's been operating there for, I think, 2 years with no problems. We don't have, there's no letters against and 2 in favor. Miss, and she's here tonight if you have any questions.
Okay. Do I need to read the letters into the? Okay, I have them here somewhere. I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
I have them here, I promise. Where'd they go? Thought I had them marked. Ah, here it is, letters. Okay. The first one we have from Micah Hale at 110 North Sierra Woods Drive, Rockport, Texas. Residence is inside the city limits. It is a non-speaker, and it is for the specific agenda item of the CUP request located at 2922 FM 1781, and they are in support of the application. The next one,
He does have a statement.
oh, that's his? Okay, sorry. At this time, Spanish Woods Homeowners Association restrictions, covenants, and landowners agreement specifically states that the property in Unit 5 exclusively be used for single-family residential purposes. No commercial trade, business, or professional activity of any nature shall be carried upon any lot or any part thereof. Originally filed 12/30/1982. However, these were amended on 9/4/1998 for Lot 3 to house a church and associated buildings to only be used for church activities. The board recommends that for full rezoning to anything other than R1, adhering to the HOA restrictions is a must. A new amendment should be filed with the county clerk and only after the city could rezone to B1. However, the board understands that this is a different situation with a non-typical dwelling. The board recommends a conditional use permit for the building to house the quilting business, and when said business expires, property resorts back to R1. And then we have one from William D. and Vicki L. Porter at 2942 Loop 1781, Rockport, Texas. They are in favor, and their comments are: the lights need to be aimed at the building, not at our house. Why did it take 2.5 years to resolve this violation of the zoning use? What is the fine for violating this ordinance? And I think that was it, right? Okay.
for Ms. Lanier.
Anybody have any questions? Did you want to speak, Mark? If you will come up and state your name and your address.
Mark Orr, 416 Olympic, Rockport, Texas. My company, Rockport Properties, was the listing agent and the selling agent in this transaction. Terrible to say, but it was very difficult to deal with the Church of Latter-day Saints. I believe that's what they were. They proposed that this was a commercial property to us. They told us, that they were just very difficult to deal with. And I did not know, probably my fault, I did not know that the church, what I would deem a commercial property, would be zoned R1 in this situation. I mean, it was a kind of a very strange thing, especially after Harvey, when there was 500 workers there in trailers living on that property for probably 2 years rebuilding houses. I mean, it looked like a commercial venture to us. So when it was brought to my attention, I mean, when we got the label, I mean, not y'all, the city came and put just a posted deal on the deal to cease and desist on her operation over there after 2.5 years. We were all stunned. I was like, you got to be kidding. So I have gone back and I have researched all of this to try to figure out what happened. The one comment that was made, though, by what you were just saying, is that it would revert back to R1. Well, that's not going to work. It needs to stay, at least to be, at this moment, could be used if we sell again, which we probably will, to another church. So I don't want it to be, you understand what I'm trying to say here? I don't want it to be limited to say that you're going to revert back and that the special documentation that was done by Spanish Woods Association to allow this church to occur needs to stay in effect. So when we sell the property again, it won't be a quilt shop, but there's a lot of people that want, she could lease it to a church, or it could be used as a church again.
Well, churches are allowed in R1. So as far as
Right.
the city's concerned, they could still do a church. They would just have to go back to the, what is it called?
The conditional use permit wears off, right?
Well, only if she stops doing the quilt store.
Right. But the comment made from that adjoining landowner was, hey, we understand about the lights. I'm going to help her with the lights. Believe me, this has been a kind of a little.
Well, that would be between the owner and Spanish Woods.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm going to help her though. So just like that.
Right, that's in deed restrictions, not in the city ordinance. In city
The deed
ordinance-
restrictions in Spanish Woods say that the lights can't. The lighting ordinance, is that right?
No, you're saying could it be a church again?
Yes.
As far as the city's concerned, it could be a church in an R1 zone.
Okay.
But the Spanish Woods is who the new person would have to go back to have a church. Something about.
But if you look in the documentation that was done back when the church was built, at that point in time, the Spanish Woods Association said that it could be used as a church when it was built. So it should stay in effect. It shouldn't be.
Well, that's between them and Spanish Woods. We don't have any regulations on deed restrictions.
Okay, well, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
But
at
our
this
zoning
moment,
allows-
it could always be a church, is what I'm saying. And that's how I read and how my legal counsel told me what it could happen. So, okay. So, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a person's comments. It's not from the city. That's an opinion of a person who's writing in. Right. Okay. Yes, sir. Did you want to speak?
Madam Chairman?
Oh, I'm sorry.
One clarification. On this citizen participation form, it does say that this person is representing the Spanish Woods Homeowners Association.
Oh, okay.
And so those comments are coming from the HOA.
Okay. I didn't see that. Thank you.
My name is Bill Porter. I live right next door at 2942 FM 1781. I'd like to speak in regards to what Mr. Erd just had to say. My wife and I, visited that property when it first came up for sale, noting that, this is kind of a weird situation. We wanted to see if it in fact was zoned R1. And there was in the room a piece of paper, I believe it was a certificate of occupancy from the city, framed in a nice wooden frame, hanging on the wall, stating that this property was zoned at R1. We brought it to the attention of the listing agent or the one that was selling it that night. And she said, well, there's nothing I can do about it because we have it listed as commercial property. I said, ma'am, it's not commercial property. It can't be commercial property because it's in a R1 zoning. And that went on deaf ears or whatever, nothing ever happened. So I want to change what Mr. Er's saying and let him know that it always has been R1. The reason it is what it is because the guy that built the 3 houses along there, my house and then the other 2 houses, he was a part of that congregation. He bought that whole 20 acres. He cut out an acre, a little bit over an acre to give to those people because he was a member of that organization. He took it out of my 6-acre lot. That was before I bought it. But I'm just saying that's how that all happened. And he got the approval from Spanish Woods Estates that would be okay that if they just, did church services and mission work. That was agreed upon. So to change it from anything from R1 to B, to me is wrong. All of the facts were up front. The only thing that probably wasn't conveyed to the buyer was that it was zoned R1. And I guess buyer beware. If you're going to buy a piece of real estate, you should at least check and see how it's zoned before you decide you're going to run a business in it. There's another ad in the paper right now for somebody to bring in your RV and build a house later. I don't even know if that's legal. So I think maybe it's a common problem. I don't know, but I'm just saying the facts were that the R1 zoning was known up front before she ever even looked at the place because my wife and I looked at it 2 days after it went on the market. So just I'd like to see it stay R1. If she wants to use it as a quilt shop, the CUP is fine, but it should not go to any kind of B zoning. I would appreciate that.
We don't have a request for B1
Okay,
at
good.
this time. She originally did request a B1.
I know.
And then
changed
downgraded it to the CUP. So we're not addressing
That's
a
fine.
B1 at all.
I can support a CUP because when she leaves, then it goes back to
Exactly.
exactly the way it was. And if somebody wants to put some windows in and call it a house, they can do that.
Exactly.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Warren.
So am I correct? 2 things could happen if Ms. Lanier decides to open a bar.
Nope,
No can do.
no, sir.
If she sells the property, does it revert back to R1 or does the
Well, it stays R1. The zoning does not
I'm sorry.
change with the cut.
does the cut go away though if she sells the
Well,
property?
if the buyer doesn't run a quilt shop. The new buyer could also have
Could
a
still
quilt
run
shop,
a quilt shop.
but that's it,
Okay,
nothing else.
thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a motion,
You have a motion?
unless somebody else does.
Somebody make a
A
motion.
motion to accept the conditional use permit request.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Should we do
Roll call.
thank you?
To me, Bert.
So we have a
Yeah.
motion on the floor to recommend to council to approve the conditional use permit to allow for a quilt shop located at 2922 FM 1781. I'm not going to read the rest of that.
All of that stuff.
All of that. Mr. Blasik,
Aye. Agreed.
Mr. Hassinger,
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Howard, are you in favor or against?
Yay.
Ms. Patty?
Yes.
Ms. Kim?
Yes.
Mr. Rick?
Aye.
Ms. Ruth? Chairperson?
Yes.
Passes unanimous. I can remember first names easier than last names.
It's okay. We're pretty casual here anyway. Okay, so next, so you do understand that that's a recommendation that goes to city council, so you might want to be at the next city council meeting in case they have any questions.
Next Tuesday at 6:30. I'll call and remind you.
Okay. Moving along, item number 4, deliberate and act on a request for a conditional use permit to allow the use of a manufactured home. Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Hello? There's a hallway. Number 4, deliberate and act on a request for a conditional use permit to allow the use of a manufactured home that the owner placed on the property, not realizing it is in the city limits, located at 826 Holly Road, also known as S3925 Macomb Subdivision, Lot 6, 2.000 acres, Rockport, Aransas County, Texas, currently zoned R1, first single-family dwelling district.
You want me to go close that door?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a piece of property that the McAllisters purchased in July of 2016. It was subsequently annexed by the city in September of 2016. And they were not aware, they state they were not aware that they'd been annexed when they recently moved a manufactured home onto the property, which had been the intention all along. I guess code enforcement stopped them. And also there are RVs on the property being resided in that would need to go away before this cut was approved, before the last reading.
Did you have some additional pictures or
I
no?
couldn't get them.
You couldn't get them? Okay, that's fine. I mean, we do have some in the packet, and you're bringing those up now. Thank you. It's, it's hard to see. I did drive by the property, but it's hard to see because it's such a narrow, long property.
Which picture do you want?
The one with the buildings on it, please. The tiny, tiny writing buildings. Okay, so that's the manufactured home that they've put there, and that's on hold, correct?
Correct. And there is a little, like a mother-in-law suite
Is that
cottage type structure.
to the right?
Right, that is not in violation of the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
What about the RVs?
There are four. I'm not certain that all of them are being resided in. I know for sure there are one,
So are they
possibly two.
grandfathered?
No, because they were moved on the property after it was.
So they're in
annexed.
violation?
Yes, sir.
So the cup would cover,
Only the manufactured home.
so where are we with, or maybe that's,
I need to ask Mr. McAllister, I'm not sure.
And he's raised his hand,
Yes,
so
he's
if
here.
you'd like to come
Come on
up,
up.
please.
Sir, I'm the property owner at 826 Holly Road. At this time, none of the RVs that were initially placed there in 2017 after Harvey as a place for family members that lost their homes or damage to their homes are currently being resided in. They're all disconnected, being stored there. We understand that in the city, you can't have multiple RVs on a single property. We understand that. We just misunderstood the zoning of the property. My father asked me to move the trailer out there, the manufactured home out there. I said, yes, check with the city. He moved it out there, and then, we came to an abrupt stop when the city showed up. So we misunderstood that the property was in the city versus in the county, and we understand that we can't have multiple RVs there. The plan moving forward is just to have the manufactured home, the mother-in-law suite, and possibly store a single RV that we use when we go to Port A on the weekends or whatever there. It won't be hooked up. It'll just be a place, we have 2.069 acres there. So there's plenty of room to store it. I can understand some of the opposition some of the neighbors originally had before I'd spoke with them and reiterated that I'm in charge now and that things are going to be cleaned up and taken care of the way that they should be and respect, your neighbors and no dirt bikes, four-wheelers. We used to play out there a lot and didn't realize that we were aggravating some of the neighbors. And after speaking with them, I understand how they feel, and we're going to move forward on a positive note. Anything that needs to be done to make this happen, this is for my parents. My parents are in their 60s. This manufactured home was on a lease here that's up for sale now, and the point of moving it to the property the whole time was that property was going up for sale, and we just waited till the last minute till the property was being pushed and moved it out there.
So storing a single RV, storing only is not a problem.
No, storage only.
Right.
There's no subdivision regulations or deed restrictions that would not apply from a city standpoint, but there are none there. So he could store an RV on the property.
But not occupied.
Correct.
Did I hear you correctly that before the cup is approved, that the other RVs will be moved off?
We could move them. We're looking for another piece of property outside the county somewhere to put them on. What we've done over the past 4 years or so is we have a lot of family that live in Austin, Dallas, San Angelo that love to come to the beach and hang out here in town. And we just say, hey, go out to the property and stay in X RV or X fifth wheel. And it saves them from having to go to a motel. That's kind of, initially it was a place for people that lost their homes. They found places to live, and it was just kind of a place where we let our family go to stay. But they're all disconnected and will be moved.
So is that, Mike,
That was the request.
is that the timeline? I mean, is there an enforcement mechanism to make sure that they are removed before the cup is approved, or?
It can be written into the conditional use permit that they, give a time frame, they must be removed within 3 months or, however long you choose to give them to find a place for them.
And allow one to be stored.
One may be stored, yes.
Do you need a motion to make the cup word that way, or?
Yes.
Yeah, the staff recommendation, if you look at the agenda
Right.
item 4, staff recommends approval of conditional use permit. That, I think, needs to be the motion, correct?
Contingent on the RVs being removed.
Right, with the stipulation.
Okay, so we would add the wording contingent on the existing RVs being removed with the exception of one for storage.
And I would suggest that y'all put a timeline on the RV being moved.
Can we do 6 months on that, and just on the storage portion of it? Because we've tried every piece of property within a mile of there, literally talked to every homeowner, trying to find property, and you guys know how it is right now. Everything is going up. Nobody wants to sell. Everybody's trying to sit on it. So we're not going to have anyone staying in them, but it would give us more time to approach the market in a manner that's more suiting for us to move these to a place where it works instead of just paying, X amount a month to store them somewhere until we find that.
How long has this been in violation?
I think it started just about a few months back.
It's been a month and a half or so, and most of that was waiting on the meeting last week.
Code enforcement started their case about the RVs and the manufacturing home about, I want to say 2 months ago.
How long has the manufactured home been there?
A month and a half.
Oh, okay. I personally don't have a problem. I mean, if that's what we're working towards, if everybody else is good with it, I'd be in agreement to make that motion with the stipulation
6
to
months seems
6. Does that seem excessive to you?
maybe 3 months.
Okay. I'd make that motion then, 90 days.
Do you want
Now you understand that that's written into the cup. If the RVs don't go away within that time period, then your cup is revoked.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Want me to read this?
So what was
Were
the
you-
date? Did you say 90?
Well, I have it.
You want to read the motion, Lauren?
Are you okay with the 90 day?
Fine.
You may read this or?
Please.
Okay. So my motion is approval of conditional use permit to allow use of a manufactured home that the owner placed on property not realizing it is in the city limits. Located at 826 Holly Road, also known as S3925 Macomb subdivision, Lot 6, 2.000 acres, Rockport, Aransas County, Texas, currently zoned R1, first family dwelling district, with the stipulation that the use of the RVs on the property cease and desist, and all but one of the RVs be removed from the property within 90 days from,
The second reading. Yeah.
okay, for the second reading. And prior to the cup, or is the cup approved tonight based on this?
Be approved with that stipulation. So on the second reading of the ordinance, the cup will be approved. And then if he does not take care of his business within 90 days, the cup will be revoked. Everything will see the property.
That's my motion.
We appreciate it. It just saved us a lot of money from having to, our second option was to build a house if we didn't get the cup. My father was just gonna donate the trailer and build a house, but if it saves my dad $200,000, $250,000, that's what the avenue we'd like to use. We appreciate you.
I'll second that motion then.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, you want to do a roll call, please?
Yes.
Mr. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Patty?
Yeah.
Mr. Rick? Thank you, sir. Chairperson Rick?
Yes. Okay. All right, other than that, we just need a motion to adjourn.
I make that.
You make that motion, do we have a second?
And a second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.